Still Breathing, a romance suspense short story. There was a feeling Isabella couldn't shake. It crept along her spine, not cold exactly, though the night was bitter, but something deeper, a warning, the kind that made the air feel heavier, as if the world itself was holding its breath. She stopped at the edge of the sidewalk and pulled her coat tighter, wrapping it around her waist, like armor. Snow had fallen only an hour earlier, blanketing the street in white. Too clean, too quiet. Her boots left sharp impressions behind her, proof that she was here, proof she could be followed. Almost a year had passed since she'd last looked over her shoulder. He was dead. She knew that. She'd heard the gunshot echo in the alley, felt the recoil burn through her palm, watched him crumple to the pavement. The police had called her brave, a survivor, a woman who had saved herself. It had taken months to believe them. Months before she stopped hiding her face beneath hats and scarves, before she stopped flinching at reflections in windows or shadows that lingered too long. Months before she allowed herself to breathe again. And now, just like that, it was gone. The certainty, the safety. Her steps slowed. Doubt slid in, slick and poisonous. Had she really fired the gun? Had he really fallen? The old fears surfaced, the ones that clawed at her in the dark, the ones that woke her to the scrape of branches against glass, to imagined footsteps tapping along staircases that didn't exist. She took 2 steps forward, stopped. The feeling didn't fade. Isabella turned. The street was empty. Snow drifted lazily beneath the street lamps. No movement, no sound. "You're being ridiculous," she told herself. Her hand slipped into her coat pocket, fingers brushing her phone. The comfort was hollow. If he was alive, a phone wouldn't save her. If he was alive, he wouldn't call. He wouldn't warn her. He would come. And this time, he wouldn't make mistakes. Her breath hitched. She covered her mouth as a sound escaped. Too sharp, too fragile, and forced her legs to move. Faster now, toward her apartment, toward safety. Then she stopped again. Home meant isolation, locked doors, no witnesses. If she was going to die, it wouldn't be quietly. It wouldn't be forgotten. The glow of a coffee shop spilled onto the sidewalk ahead. Warmth, voices, people. Isabella reached for the door, waiting with shaking hands for a family to exit. She took 1 step forward and was pulled back. A strong arm wrapped around her waist. A voice leaned close, low and steady against her ear. "Come with me," it whispered. "If you want to live." Isabella froze. Every instinct screamed at her to fight, to twist free, to run. But his grip wasn't brutal. It didn't hurt. His arm circled hers with firm intention, guiding rather than claiming. That confused her more than fear ever could. His face was hidden beneath a wool hat pulled low, a scarf covering everything but his eyes. Dark, focused, watching her, not with hunger or rage, but urgency. "I can't," she started. "Not here," he said quietly. "You don't have time to decide. Trust me, or don't. But if you stay, you're dead." The street suddenly felt too exposed, too open. Isabella's pulse roared in her ears as he steered her forward, their footsteps crunching in unison through the snow. She stumbled once and his hand tightened, not possessive, not threatening, just enough to steady her. They moved quickly through the streets of Boston, past shuttered storefronts and glowing intersections, until they reached a downtown apartment building tucked between glass towers. Modern, anonymous. Inside, the warmth hit her like a wave. The elevator doors slid open. She hesitated again. "Last chance," he said softly. The doors began to close. She stepped in. The ride-up was silent except for the hum of cables and the frantic beat of her heart. She stood rigid, every muscle coiled, calculating exits that didn't exist. When the doors finally opened, he guided her down a short hallway. and unlocked the apartment. The moment the door shut behind them, the lock sliding into place with a final click, Isabella wrenched free. She spun around. He reached up slowly, deliberately, and pulled off his hat, then the scarf, then his coat. Her breath vanished. The man standing before her was tall, broad-shouldered, muscular in a way that spoke of discipline, not vanity. Brown hair fell loosely across his forehead, high cheekbones, the same build, the same face. Her mind fractured. "No," she whispered. She backed away, then turned, bolting for the door. "Isabella?" His voice cut through her like a blade, not shouted, not angry, steady. "I'm not Simone," he said. "Look at me." She froze. Against every instinct, she turned back, really looked. The similarities were undeniable. The same coloring, the same structure. A mirror shaped by blood or coincidence. But his eyes, they stopped her cold. They weren't cruel. They weren't burning with hatred or obsession. They were calm, human, kind, confused. She took a step back, her heart pounding so hard it hurt. Already she knew. Her voice barely worked. "Who are you?" "I'm Antonio," he said. The name meant nothing to her, and somehow that made it worse. "Simone's brother." The room tilted. Isabella's hand found the back of a chair, fingers gripping wood as if it could anchor her to reality. "That's impossible," she said. "He never mentioned a brother." A muscle jumped in Antonio's jaw. "He wouldn't." Her chest tightened. Of course he wouldn't. Simone had curated his life the same way he'd curated her. Selectively, strategically. Nothing that didn't serve him. "So this is it," she whispered. "You brought me here to finish what I started." Antonio didn't move toward her, didn't block the door. He stayed where he was, hands visible, voice steady. "If I wanted you dead," he said quietly, "you wouldn't have made it past the coffee shop." That did nothing to calm her. "You expect me to believe you dragged me off the street to save me?" Her voice cracked despite her effort to sound strong. "Because I killed your brother?" "You didn't kill him." The words landed wrong, too flat. "I watched him fall," she said. "I heard the shot. He survived," Antonio cut in. Not sharply, not cruelly. Barely. But Simone has always been good at that, disappearing when it suits him. Her stomach dropped. "No," she breathed. "No, that's not possible." "He was taken out of the country within hours," Antonio continued. "Off the books. No records. No body. The police closed the case because it was cleaner that way, and because he made sure it was." The room felt suddenly small. "And now?" she asked. Antonio's eyes darkened, not with anger, but something heavier. "Now he's back," he said. "And he knows you pulled the trigger." Isabella shook her head, stepping back until her shoulders hit the wall. "You're lying," she said. "This is some kind of sick game. Revenge." "If it were," Antonio said softly, "I wouldn't be warning you." Her pulse thundered in her ears. Every nightmare she'd buried clawed its way back to the surface. "He told me," she whispered. "He told me if I ever tried to leave him, he'd make sure no one could protect me." Antonio's gaze sharpened. "That's why I found you." "Why?" Her voice broke. "Why help me?" For a moment, he didn't answer. Then, "Because Simone doesn't get to decide who lives in fear anymore." The words should have comforted her. Instead, they terrified her. Because if Simone was alive, if he was watching, then this wasn't over. It was just beginning. "Why are you here?" Isabella asked. The question slipped out before she could stop it. It wasn't accusation so much as disbelief. Antonio didn't hesitate. "For you." The words landed too close. Her breath caught. "That's not an answer." "It's the only honest one," he said. "I've been watching you." Her pulse spiked. You what? Not like that, he added quickly, sensing the shift. I didn't follow you everywhere. I didn't interfere. I waited. Waited for what? For him. Antonio took a step closer, not invading her space, but close enough that she felt his presence. Heat. Gravity. She hated that her body noticed before her mind did. Simone always circles back, he said. He doesn't let unfinished things stay unfinished. And you were the one thing he never controlled the way he wanted. Her throat tightened. I've been keeping an eye on you for months, he continued. Learning your patterns, your routines, the places you felt safest. That should have frightened her more than anything. Instead, something else stirred. Confusion. Awareness. A pull she didn't want to examine too closely. You could have told me, she said. You could have gone to the police. Antonio's mouth curved. Not quite a smile. You really think they'd believe me? Or you? She didn't answer. You were safer not knowing, he said. Until tonight. Isabella folded her arms, as much to steady herself as to put distance between them. But her eyes betrayed her, drifting back to his face. The resemblance to Simone was still there, but the differences were becoming impossible to ignore. Simone's presence had always felt like being trapped in a room with no windows. Antonio felt like standing too close to a fire, dangerous in a different way, warm when she least expected it. She hated herself for noticing. For someone who says he's protecting me, she said, you're asking me to trust you an awful lot. His gaze softened, and for a split second, something unguarded crossed his face. I know, he said. And that's the part that scares me. Her heart skipped, traitorous, reckless, because the most terrifying thing of all wasn't that Simone was alive. It was that part of her already wanted to believe Antonio. Thanks for watching part 1 of Still Breathing. If you want to know what happens next, if you want to find out who survives, subscribe to Kiss of Suspense. Part 2 is coming.